Are you finally ready to see some good news? When we have been told time and time again that things will get better, good news is greatly appreciated. And so, let's start with what is currently being discussed. But before I jump into the good news for the day, all I ask is if you can spend just 2 seconds and hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Now, what exactly is the good news? And will it provide seniors with relief? Will it provide parents with additional child tax credit payments? Will it potentially lower will lower income households see more benefits? And what about veterans? What will they get? Well, here's what we know. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are considering another relief bill. Yes, this is true. This could include things like more stimulus checks. We could see expanded unemployment benefits once again. There's a chance that more funding for businesses will be included. Seniors could see a small bump in payments, and SNAP benefits could also see another increase. All of these things are now being considered. But wait, it's not that easy. For those of you that are thinking, there is no way there's a bipartisan bill for another stimulus package, especially when we still have inflation. Well, you'd be right. Here's what we know. Lawmakers are reportedly discussing what are the possibilities of a recession. Right now, according to economists project that the U.S. will fall into a recession during Q3 to Q4 of 2023, which means we will have peak pain during the holiday season. And we would have pain leading up to an election year, which nobody wants to see. Now, if the U.S. dips into a recession, we likely won't have inflation at 6%. Economists believe we will see inflation drop into the high 4% to low 5% range by that point. So, we will still see some higher prices, but the overall worry then would be, how are families making ends meet? Well, let's talk about that. And this is where the discussions of another stimulus package actually comes into play. Lawmakers would need to find a way to provide for these households. Multiple senators believe we will experience about 3 million jobs lost during the next recession, which again is expected to be anywhere between Q3 and Q4 of 2023, which is coming up. And if this is the case, how can we provide additional relief for those without jobs? Now, I want to be very clear on something. Why are we talking about what ifs? It seems like a big waste of time, right? In most cases, it would be. But it's actually not, because of the issues that we currently face. The reason why lawmakers are discussing what ifs is because of the debt ceiling negotiations, which again, we still have a lot to work on. Right now, the U.S. is going to default on its payments, on its debts, sometime between June and September of 2023. So that is the first reason why lawmakers are discussing the what ifs, because we have a debt ceiling negotiation that is not going well. It's also because of the timing of a possible recession. Think about this. When did I just say a recession could occur? This is Q3 to Q4 of 2023. Well, do you know what happens at the end of business on September 31st? Well, that is when the fiscal year budget runs out. So, Congress wouldn't have money. U.S. government wouldn't have money. They would run out of money by October 1st. This is why every single year, lawmakers sit down, they discuss, they argue, they bicker about something called the federal budget. This has to get passed before September 31st, 2023, or else the U.S. government would actually experience a shutdown. A shutdown from the U.S. government is different than a default on our debts. We have many times had to be shut down because we didn't have the money, right? The money, even though the money was technically there, it wasn't approved. But if we default on our debts, which would happen if we cannot increase the debt ceiling, suspend the debt limit, or do something else, well, that's something that's never happened. And many people are saying this would be a global catastrophe if this were to occur. Now, many lawmakers want to discuss additional relief for the American people, for businesses, for our economy, because they are worried that we cannot do too much now. Think about it. Some are saying that by providing too much today, this is only going to pigeonhole Congress later on in the year. And if we do fall into recession, but we provide so much support now, this is going to create an issue because we might not have the funding, we might not have the backing to actually go and provide more for the American people at that time. And because of that, Republicans want to be patient with providing too much today, because they do believe that Democrats will be asking for much more come the end of the year. And it's probably true. Democrats are always asking for more. In some ways, it's warranted. But in other ways, they just want to provide more because that's what they promised. That's part of their agenda, is they want to tax and then spend. That is part of the issue. Here's what I can tell you. The good news today is that we are having bipartisan discussions on these topics. The bad news is that additional relief would mean a recession, which is going to be caused mostly by the Fed raising interest rates. Now, what does this mean for us in the near future? Well, here's the thing. Lawmakers are discussing this. Lawmakers have an additional few days, 2-3 days, whatever it is. And then they go on recess for about 2 weeks. They will come back on April 17th, and they will start their negotiations once again. Here's the reason why this is such a crucial date. On April 17th, let me check really quick. I believe it's April 17th. Yes, April 17th they'll come back. Okay. On April 18th, I believe, is when the IRS tax deadline is. Because of that deadline, and because of how it coincides with Congress coming back, what's likely to happen is the U.S. Treasury is going to know how much money the U.S. government actually has. At that point, then Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen will have a very good idea of how long we have until the U.S. defaults on all of its debts. Again, some Republicans want to pass a bill that would tell the U.S. Treasury to pay certain people, certain programs over others. And I talked about this before, and I mentioned China would be one of the first people paid. China. Even with everything that's going on right now, we would have to pay China. Then we would pay Social Security benefits, we'd pay Medicare, pay things like that. Some of the last people that get paid, Congress, the president, the vice president, those people get paid last. But again, this could also mean programs are going to see cuts. So if you do receive any SNAP benefits for food assistance, guess what? You could see a cut. You could see a delay in benefits. For many people, for millions and millions of households, a delay in benefits would mean the difference of putting food on the table versus not having anything to eat. So, this is why this is such an important thing to understand. And honestly, I bet you didn't see this coming. I don't think anybody was thinking that we're going to see a stimulus package in 2023. Now, I'm not saying it's coming. What economists are saying is a recession is coming. What lawmakers have been discussing, and again, there's no proposal, there's no bill. It's probably not even written down on a napkin. But there's reports that they have been discussing the possibility of needing an additional stimulus package for our economy to get us out of a recession. But that means we have to dip into the recession first. It would have to be somewhat prolonged. It wouldn't just be a 1 quarter thing, right? In a recession, normally 2 quarters. But again, the Biden administration has changed the definition of a recession in the past, so they could do it again. Now, just want to warn you that I don't know if we are going to see a stimulus package. I don't know if we're going to see more relief for the American people and for the businesses that will struggle, but lawmakers have been discussing this because they want to be open to that possibility in the future. Let me just throw this out there. Or are Republicans pretty much baiting Democrats to agree on additional stimulus in the future if we dip into a recession because they do not want to provide as much, relief now? There's actually 2 sides to this, but let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But that is what we know as of right now. So again, this is good news that they are at least open to the idea and discussing it. As to whether or not it happens, that's something that we just don't know. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.